Traveling to Consciousness, exploring spiritual journeys to find answers in uncertainty.
What is up, conscious monkeys? Welcome back to another episode of Traveling to Consciousness. As always, I'm your host, Clayton Cuteri, and in today's podcast, we are going to be talking about last week and some things maybe that we should be expecting for the upcoming weeks, if you will. But what I have really been seeing and what has really been playing out, in my opinion, over the last couple weeks, and it seems like it's starting to come to a head, is this spiritual transformation that we have been seeing slowly. At least I've been seeing it slowly happen. Depends on how you look at the world, but has been slowly cultivating. And it seems like that there has been a huge turning point within the last week, honestly, within the last couple of days. We're going to get into specifically what I'm talking about here, but I hopefully we can start to see how, and maybe you've seen in your own life, and maybe here's how we can take a step back to make it personal about you so that you can see how this happens on a master level of the world. So let's take your life, for instance. Let's think back to whenever you were a kid, whenever you were a little toddler, a little whippersnapper. Imagine that you're that age, and at a certain point in your journey, maybe you got to like middle school or high school, you started having to think about your future. You were starting to be told you need to think about what you're going to do with your life. And this starts to cultivate a mental image in your mind. You start to try to configure your mental landscape, or you can call it the astral if you want, but you start to imagine what your future life is going to look like. Now, because of the programming that we all get throughout society, majority of it is, well, by this age, I'm going to have a family. By this time, I'm going to be doing this. I'll graduate from this college, then I'll do this. And by this time, I'll do that. And now what happens is, and because that happens at such a young age and you have no direction with your life whatsoever, you start to cultivate this astral or imaginary direction for your life. You start to create a vision for your life. And so the way that I see it is that imaginary plane would be like an astral. Let's call that the spiritual realm. And that power, that energy that you put into that visualization, then over time will manifest on the physical plane. You start thinking about how you're going to go to college and graduate with this degree and then do this. And then it happens over the course of the next several years, maybe 5-10 years, it happens. But that's because you have put your energy into that vision consistently. Maybe unconsciously, it might have been unconscious, but you still put energy into that vision and it created the life that you're living right now. And so where people kind of get tripped up and where the, let's say, issues have arisen from our social media landscape is that we're all short-term focused. You don't have a giant vision for where your life is going to go. And so there's a point to all of this, I promise. And so you got to take this step back and really have that vision for where you want to go in life, because you're putting mental energy into the spiritual, into the astral realm that is then going to manifest on the physical. And if you're not thinking about it, if you're not conscious about it, you're not going to create a life that you're proud of, that you are happy to tell your children and your family about, because it's going to be wasted because you've spent so much of your conscious and then you're training your subconscious mind to live in these 30-second not thinking about the future. And so what I feel and I see is that the mass populace of the world has put together their mind towards a specific outcome. And I see this through programming of the news, the programming of Hollywood. They will incept these ideas into the mind. And so then if the majority of the world is fixated on it, it creates that reality. Have you ever noticed how there has been so many propagandized films or films that come out about zombies, apocalypses, all this stuff? Well, the goal of it is to get the general public to fixate on that future and then to create a reality out of it. Now, here's where it gets interesting, is where is that power kind of coming from? I didn't realize this was going to turn into a spiritual podcast, but I guess I guess here we are. We're going to just keep going with it. So they give you that power, right? Where are we? So they take that power and they transform it and they say, okay, you have given us power. Let's say Hollywood. You've given Hollywood power to be in control of the entertainment industry, which means you have given them control over your subconscious mind, and you have allowed them to take a direction that they want you to focus on and fixating and catapult you towards, and not just you, but all of humanity. If hundreds of thousands of people watch the same movie, hundreds of thousands of people, mind gets pushed in a certain direction that will have a chain reaction that pushes humanity toward a specific direction. Now, the question is how do they get that energy? Where do they get that energy? Now, that question is an answer for a different podcast. That question is where we're getting super spiritual. But here's what I do want to put out there, is that if you take a second, you take a step back, you look at the entire landscape of the world, of, let's say, posts on X, you look at the content that's being put out there. And you have to be careful about this because you will get sucked into your own little algorithm that the entire social media industrial complex tries to put you into. So you have to take a step back and try to, parse through all the noise and see the reactions and really be devoid of it. But what you'll notice is that humanity is on this course of realizing the lies, frankly, the bullshit that we've been fed throughout our entire life. And this is something that we have been unable to achieve because of our education system being so poor. But yet with the advent of the internet, with technology being so readily advanced, with information being able to be accessed at the spawn of our fingertips, it's kind of creating this divide where there are people who are becoming more intelligent and then others who are slowly adapting to it. But the key is that as a whole, we are waking up. And why do I say all of this? Because the majority of the world has started to fixate on a reality where we are prosperous, where we are holding hands in hands, where we are living in harmony and peace. And I can see it. And I've been seeing it, let's say, astrally for a long time now. I mean, heck, and look, there's nothing special about me. Jesus saw this 2,000 years ago whenever he talked about in the future there would be no more war, there would be peace. And what was it? The lion would lay down with the lamb, that whole thing. So there's nothing really special about what I'm saying here. You can find this in pretty much all of the holy scriptures. Even in Hinduism, they talk about, I believe it's the Satra Yuga or Kali Yuga, Satra Yuga. I think the Satra Yuga, where it's like the divine age of truth, and then that comes out. And so look, there's nothing special about what I'm saying here, but like I've been seeing it astrally. Like I just know that that's the reality that we're headed towards. But what I have been seeing on a physical layer is it's starting to manifest itself. Why do I say this? Well, if we take a step back and look at some of the events that have occurred in the last month or so, it has really shown me that we are moving towards that place at a very rapid pace. So things are going to get very, very interesting in the next few years. And what are some of these things? Well, if we go all the way back to January, and I know I said the last few months, but the January was a really big turning point because if you remember the fires that were happening in LA. Now remember, I was telling you they had tremendous amount of power to dictate our future because they had so much spiritual energy. We gave them that energy. Humanity gave them that by thinking Hollywood's so great, it's so beautiful, blah, 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 blah. If you look since January, the amount of bad publicity or how many people have talked about, it's really not in a good state. The state of that city and how it's crumbling. You'll notice that they're losing a lot of their spiritual energy. And this started around January. And what happened was those wildfires. Okay, stick with me here, was those wildfires, quote unquote wildfires. And what you could see was those fires, is if you really examine them, is there was a lot of prophetic pictures that were taken from that. Number one, there was one where the Hollywood sign looked like it was burning. And if you look at that and you feel into that image, you will feel that their energy and time is being destroyed. Not to mention there were a ton of fire tornadoes, which I've never seen before. And they are quite frankly not a very common phenomena. They are not common whatsoever. And so whenever you see that, it's literally a manifestation, okay? Because listen, nature's runs the show here. She runs the show. We're talking about fire. We're talking about the elements here: fire, wind, earth, water, and ether. Okay? Without any one of those things, we all die. So whenever it comes to the natural elements, she essentially decides who lives and dies. You have no control over your heartbeat. You can make it go fast and slower by, your mental state and whatnot, but you can't, and I guess you could technically stop it if you wanted to, but you can't keep it going. It's impossible for you to perpetually keep it going to eternity. That is the role of nature. Nature will decide whenever your heart stops. You can help it or you can hurt it depending on your choices. Yeah, but she is in control of your heartbeat. And so since she is the one that is in control, since she is the leader, since she is the one who is providing you with every breath, it means that she has the power over that spiritual energy and who possesses it, which means when you see these fire tornadoes, you see a combination of two elements, the fire, well, three, I guess, technically, fire, wind, and earth. And what I see is that she is removing the energy from those areas. And look, this isn't a crazy conspiracy, okay? Because I have two evidence points for this, right? Number one is in LA, okay? Look at what happened in LA. Since then, their spiritual energy has massively dropped. Their astral energy, their imagination energy, the way people view LA has significantly dropped since January. And now a second event has actually occurred in the last week that has reinforced this as well. Okay, so I'm trying to use evidence here. We're trying to use physical evidence to show you what's happening. Now, here's the thing that just came up. I don't know if you've been looking or aware of it, but in Israel, tremendous amount of wildfires have popped up. And if you want to talk about it biblically, you can find videos. I actually posted one on my Instagram story. You can find videos of trees burning from the inside out. It is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. And the only thing I could think of when I saw this was the burning bush. So hopefully you're already following me on Instagram, because if you're not, that's on you. But but that video is out there, and maybe I'll make a reaction reel to it at some point. But you will see that the inside of the trees are burning, and it's biblical. I mean, you look at these things, you look at these videos, and the only thing you can think is like, God's pissed off, God's angry. And what is God but nature? So to me, you see this and it's like, oh my gosh. The next thing is you can find videos of fire tornadoes in Israel. You can find videos of it. And I'm telling you, you look at this thing and you can literally see the energy. You can literally see the energy being pulled out of the ground through the fire up into the sky. You can literally see it. Because normally, like, tornadoes will kind of come down. They usually spiral down, which is actually an interesting point. But if you look at a fire tornado, it'll spiral upwards. So go look at it. I mean, the evidence to it is, and okay, here's the evidence to it, right? Is that, if you don't know, Israel is known for having what's called the Iron Dome. The U.S. funded a tremendous amount of money into it, and the Iron Dome is essentially able to pick up any missile that comes into Israel or shot into Israel and take it out. It's been successful for, I don't know how many years now, 30, 40 years. I don't know how long it's been around. I speculate on, I don't really know. But it's been at least 30 or 40 years, and it's always successful. However, a ballistic missile was sent from Yemen and struck near Ben Gurion Airport, and it drew massive attention. And Israel, of course, announced a strong retaliatory response, blah, blah, blah. But the point is that you have these fire tornadoes removing spiritual energy from the area, and then you have the first missile landing near one of the most, I believe Ben Gurion's the one in Tel Aviv. I'd have to double check that, but near one of the biggest airports in Israel. Guys, this is not a coincidence. There's literally no such thing as coincidences in this world. It all happens exactly as it's supposed to. It's unfolding exactly as it is. And I'm just pointing this out as, like, they have been absolutely corrupted with their spiritual energy. I even saw there's even a Bible quote. All right. Now, I'm not crazy about the Bible. I think that a lot of stuff has been manipulated. But let me see if I can find this quote. Did I delete it? But there's a Bible quote, I believe is in Amos. Here it is. Amos 2:4-5. This is what the Lord says. For 3 sins of Judah, even for 4, I will not relent, because they have rejected the law of the Lord and have not kept his decrees, because they have been led astray by false gods, the gods their ancestors followed. I will send fire on Judah that will consume the fortress of Jerusalem. And Israel, and if you don't know, Jerusalem is the walled city within Israel. So therefore Israel is the fortress of Jerusalem. And literally right here, we have them saying, yeah, there are going to come a time where we're going to take all their energy. because they have been led astray by false gods and false prophets, which is, I don't know. I'm not going to make a judgment call on that. I have my own beliefs and opinions on that, but I'll let you choose how you believe and seek that thing. And furthermore, and a big reason I am glad that this is happening just in time is if you look up, let me see if I can find it. And this was last night now. Last night, let me see here. I got a notification from the AP. Quote, Israel plans to capture all of Gaza. Israel approved plans Monday to capture the entire Gaza Strip and remain in the Palestinian territory for an unspecified amount of time, two Israeli officials said. A move that, if implemented, would vastly expand Israel's operations into Gaza and likely bringing fierce international opposition. This has been the plan the entire time. If your head was not buried in a sand, this was the entire plan the entire time. There is significant evidence, and at least conspiratorial evidence, that they essentially allowed October 7th to happen so that they could justify, and then they lied about it. They lied about all the babies being killed, all that stuff, to create massive amounts of support for what they have done to Gaza since then, to Palestine since then. And as you can see, this was the end goal all along. This was the end goal. Create massive devastation, kill people, let your own people die so that you can go then and justify wars. Anyone remember 9/11? They knew that was going to happen, didn't stop it so that they could justify going to wars, spending billions of dollars on the military-industrial complex. This is not a new playbook. This is not a new playbook. This is the exact same playbook that they have been putting out for years and years and years. Create a false flag, go kill people. It's what they're doing right now with the Houthis in Yemen. Who do you think funds them? They're being funded by governments in order for us to say, well, it's Iran that's funding them. It's Iran that's funding them. So we're going to have to now go and invade and kill Iran and completely destabilize it. Because if you destabilize that country, now you're giving Israel more power. The beautiful thing is that nature understands this. Nature understands that this was their plan the entire time. Why do you think it is that she removed their energy just before this happened? I mean, I want to be very clear too, is I have no ill will towards Jews. I think that we should all be living in prosperity. I have no ill will towards the people of Israel. I think that if you treat people the way you want to be treated, if you love thy neighbor, then you have a place in my heart. The issue is that the government of Israel, and there have been a ton of Israeli protests against Benjamin Netanyahu, which obviously they don't show on the mainstream media if that's your only source of news. But there have been massive amounts of protests, which is great, and I love it. And those are the people I love. Those are my people. I have problems with governments, whether you're Israeli, whether you're Iranian, whether you're even the American government, doing these war crimes, killing innocent people, killing babies and mothers. And it has to stop. And we're going to stop it. I'm fired up because I am showing you. I now have proof. It's one of those things where you feel like you're crazy, and then you finally have the physical evidence proof of here's what happened, here's the fallout. And then you can sit there and you can take that information. You can reject it if you want, or you can sit here and be like, wow, maybe Clayton's actually onto something. You can do your own research. You can look up all the information I just told you about. You can see the videos for yourself and make your own judgment call on it. Because we are moving into this age of enlightenment, if you will. We're moving into this age of us being able to love each other, to be prosperous, to enjoy the present moment. And so, a piece of this is the education. A piece of it is because if we don't understand this stuff, if we can't see these energies, then we're not going to be able to do anything with it. And so in my pursuit of helping you being able to see the energies, I have created, and I'm in the process of finishing, the Indigo Education Academy. I've been working really hard on this website. It's amazing. Right now I have not been, they say that perfectionism is the enemy of success or whatever. So I do think I need to just push it out at a certain point, but I want you to go sign up for the newsletter, because I'm going to be sending it out to people on my newsletter first. I'm going to be giving them direct access to it. Not everybody is going to make it in. As a disclaimer, we are not accepting everybody into this. Just because you have a credit card and you have money does not mean you are going to be accepted into our academy. You have to have certain qualities that we're looking for to make sure that you are going to be successful. Because if you demonstrate qualities that you're going to be unsuccessful, I don't want to take your money. the things that they have done with the money in this country and the inflation and just running out of control. Just because you have the money does not mean you're going to enter this. Just because I can't do that to you. I can't allow myself to just take money from people who aren't going to benefit from the program. It's going to be people who will truly be able to elevate into the next stage of their consciousness, of their life, by learning this knowledge, because it's not going to be cheap. I'll be honest with you. Like, the knowledge is very powerful, and the monetary exchange has to reflect that. So, and it's going to take time too. This isn't like some like cookie cutter course that's like, hey, $90 course. And then no, this is going to be like a whole like 36 credit course, bachelor's degree. And then we're going to set up a master's and a doctorate program in this spiritual science. It's going to be a whole thing. I'm going to give you more information as it comes out, but I just want to leave this disclaimer that it will be very challenging and rigorous. Not everybody's going to pass. Not everybody is going to be accepted. And it's because I want to hold this to a very, very high standard. I don't want people just running around saying they passed this, that they did this. It was a scam. I wasted my money, because I don't want you being scammed out of money. I don't want you to go through this program if you're not qualified for it and then come out the other end and be like, well, I didn't learn anything. What a waste of money. Like just first of all, I feel like energetically that's going to bring terrible karma to me, because it doesn't do you any good. You need to be living a great life. And look, maybe right now's not the time. Maybe you need to go through something for another 3, 4, 5 years. Then you'll reapply to the academy and it'll be time. If you get rejected, I want to be clear. Like, if you get rejected, it's not a permanent rejection. You're just going to have to wait until the next enrollment period. It's just like any college. You can keep trying to apply, all that stuff. So basically think about traditional college, the way that it is set up. However, we are going to be teaching the knowledge that is going to be a part of the new world. Knowledge that they didn't teach us. Think like breath work, meditation. Honestly, if you look up the Indigo Education podcast, that's a pretty good outline of the stuff we're going to go on. But that format, I'm not able to dive deep into it. You're getting 20-minute segments of something that literally each one of those podcasts will probably be a course on its own. So sign up for the newsletter if you're interested, because that's where I'm going to be sending the link for the very first people. Because this is the future, guys, and we have to create it. And in order to create it in a place of harmony, we have to have proper knowledge. Otherwise, we're just going to create the mistakes of our past. What is it? Consciousness. What's the quote about consciousness? You can't solve problems from the same consciousness that created it. And in order for us to upgrade our consciousness, we have to have the proper knowledge of understanding how spiritual, body, physical, all this stuff works. So I'm here. Don't worry. We're going to make it happen. We're going to do it. But I just don't want you to feel bad if you get rejected from this. And just know, even if you get in, it doesn't mean like you're 100% passing. There's going to be a pass-fail system. So I always hate the grades average. Oh, if you get over a C, then you're good. No, it's literally going to be pass-fail. You either know the material or you don't. And that's going to make it even more difficult to pass. So again, I want you to be ready for that. So sign up for the newsletter in the link below. It'll be in my link tree. There also might be a newsletter somewhere. But with all of that being said, I really appreciate you guys. And if I don't see you in the Indigo Education Academy, I know for sure that I will see you in the 6th.